Radio. This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
This episode is brought to you by Yeowww Catnip, the #1 catnip brand in the world.
Hello and welcome to the Whisker Report. We're a brand new podcast dedicated to helping anyone in the pet industry, whether you're an animal welfare nonprofit or a for-profit pet company. We want to help you get some PR buzz for your business or nonprofit, because here at Whisker Media, we care about animals and we want to support the people who help animals. Hello again, everybody. I'm Mary Tan. And joining me from across the pond, all the way from France, is my colleague, Alexandre Ricard. Bonjour!
Bonjour tout le monde! We're so excited for this show today. We actually have some of my favorite people. They are the people from Yeowww Catnip Toys. So I used to pronounce it Yahoo, which was the French way, but I've been told that it's actually Yahoo, like meow, but Yeowww. Okay, so I'm trying. But first, we'd love to introduce you to our amazing producer, Mark Winter of Pet Life Radio. And I think Mark is also a big fan of these toys, aren't you, Mark?
Yeah, of course. I have a good story to tell about Yeowww. Back in 2010, we were at Global Pet Expo, and back then Pet Life Radio we had our own booth. And Yeowww was the booth right next to us. And so they were like the first people that we knew at Global Pet Expo, and we never forgot. You're the first.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, well, we are so honored to be part of Mark's Pet Life Radio Network, the largest pet podcast radio network in the world. We are going to take a quick break, and we're going to be back with our friends at Yeowww right after this.
Here's Daryl Michelson, owner of Furniture Cat Furniture.
Back in 1990, I was in the market for some cat furniture. And as looking at the cat furniture available, I realized that most of it is basically overpriced junk. The big difference between our furniture and other cat furniture is the fact that we use plywood, and all other cat furniture is made with some sort of a particle board.
You can see the furniture difference online at Furniture.com. That's PURRNITURE.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
And we're back with my favorite people. So we have Kris Kaiser and Norm Harada from Yeowww Catnip Toys. You may know them from their famous catnip toy that looks like a banana. I think that's the most famous one, but you've got so many, so I'm sure you must have seen them somewhere. They make amazing product, but they're also a great bunch of people, and we really do love them at the Whisker Report. So maybe we start with Norm. Norm, tell us a bit about yourself.
Oh, you ain't got enough time there, kiddo. Well, I'm older than dirt, so I'm like going to be 68 years old this year, but I don't feel older than dirt. I've been working for Yeowww for 9 years. And as you know, my sister and her husband started this company 27 years ago. And we've been doing the same thing for 27 years. So I think we got it down a little bit. But I live in Cheyenne, Wyoming. And yeah, that's about it. Got 9 kids. That'll shock everybody. I don't know how it happened, but now I got 9 kids.
9 human kids or kitty kids?
Humans, Mary.
Oh, my goodness.
5 boys, 4 girls.
Wow.
40 years old to 20 years old.
So it sounds like this is a family-owned business and you're part of the family.
Yeah.
And so tell us how you got roped into it and what you do at Yeowww.
Okay. Well, I did a lot of other things before I worked for Yeowww. And my sister had mentioned to me several times, you should come and sell catnip toys. And I'm going, who in the world sells catnip toys for a living? It just sounded stupid to me. And so I finally decided, well, I'm ready to kind of slow down a little bit, take it a little more easy, have some fun. And this is the best job I ever had in my life. We sell fun here. It's a great toy. It's one of the #1 catnip toys in the world. So I'm the international sales manager now for Yeowww.
And that's how you met Alex, too.
Yeah, that's how I met Alex through Kris, kind of, and just love her to death.
And now we're best friends.
Yeah, she sends me macaroons and nut giddy bars.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. I really, really enjoyed hanging around her. A lot of fun.
How about let's have Kris talk about herself?
Yeah, I joined Yeowww more recently in 2018, and they were looking for somebody who was really enthusiastic about cats, and they found me. So when the recruiter had called and said there was a company that makes pet toys, I was like, yeah, I'm interested. Tell me more. Because I had in the back of my mind, like, I had to figure out how to get into the pet industry somehow because it just seemed like it would be a little more fun. And I had a fun job, but it was grocery, which is maybe less fun than cat toys. So when I'd heard it was pet toys, I was like, yes, I'm interested. And then he said it was Yeowww Catnip. Have you ever heard of them? And I think I was like screaming with enthusiasm because, of course, we had Yeowww toys all over my house. And I could imagine how I was going to make my cat's dreams come true if I could land this job. So I came in with some enthusiasm and have been in the marketing department since 2018.
Yeah, huge asset to the company. Kris is.
I'm the token cat person. There's a few of us, but
she's our crazy cat lady, but that's all right. You gotta have one.
How many furry kids do you have, Kris?
I have 3, Rosie, Daisy, and Calvin.
We love them.
They definitely are very happy with the amount of cat toys they get at home. So
are they the testers? Like, do you bring them are they the first? Yeah.
They're the first to try any new Yeowww toy or catnip product that we come up with. So, and one of the more recent toys I even named after one of my cats, the Daisy's Flower Tops. So, yes.
Oh, that's so
Fun.
sweet.
Yes, it is fun.
I actually have a question, so I hope you guys can answer that question. Like, what happened for people to realize that catnip had that effect on cats? Who realized, and what did they do to realize that catnip had that effect on cats?
Norm, you want to go ahead and make something
Who the
up?
first one was.
I don't know who the first one was either.
That's kind of like it asking me who made the first chicken egg and thought it was good.
Well, you know what? We'll have you on again, and in between now and then, you can do some research.
Okay, we'll do that. I'm sure it was just because the plant is very hardy and grows in the wild that people just saw the cats kind of gravitating towards this minty, fun plant. And I don't know where the idea to dry it came, but I'm assuming it along with human herbs because catnip is also used for tea for people because it has a calming effect.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
It has the opposite effect on human. It calms them, whereas it makes cats go crazy.
So that's actually an interesting fact too, because when cats smell it through their nose, it does have that excitable effect. But when they eat it, they do tend to get the more relaxed effect. So, yeah.
I didn't know that. So you could use it if cats are anxious or something. You could actually give it to them to eat it.
I know Mary through Cat Rescue. We volunteered on the marketing committee at the same rescue. So I knew her before I started at Yeowww. And one of the things I did at that rescue was take adoption photos. And so when you have a cat, some cats haven't had that much socialization. And then you stick them in front of lights and a camera and they just freeze and they don't want to participate in the photo shoot. So often I would give them a Yeowww toy and they would at first ignore it, but then they'd kind of start sniffing it. And then all of a sudden you have a total ham on set and you could take really fun photos. Yeah, it does definitely relax them even though they get a little excited about it too. So there are mean drunks though. We've all seen those, right?
Yeah.
They get to be a little bit of a bully when you're on catnip.
Yes, exactly.
One at every party.
And Kris is also a very talented photographer and a very, very influential influencer with an amazing page called Tippy Tuxies, where you promote CH cats, right? And that's cerebral hyperplasia?
Cerebellar hypoplasia.
Okay.
So it affects the balance and coordination. And we just like to show the cats with disabilities, they don't really look at themselves as disabled. They just go about their life and do the same things normal cats do. They just move a little differently.
Yeah. And so how often do you use your Instagram page with the marketing and PR of Yeowww?
I think it's probably fairly organic. I mean, if we come out with a new toy, my cats might talk about that. But otherwise, it's just we just show their daily life and toys and play are probably the more fun parts to show. So
do you think you might be influencing other, so we call them wobbly cats, right? Because they
Right.
wobble a bit. Do you think you influence, because I know you have a lot of wobbly cats as followers, so do you think you kind of influence the way they would buy Yeowww catnip toys? Because if they see your cat play with it and how the catnip makes them feel as wobbly cats, do you feel like you're kind of influencing them?
perhaps, but I think the notoriety of the banana goes well beyond my influence. So it's pretty Instagram or social media famous toy because it incites that fun reaction, and the cat's going crazy is funny to show on video. So we probably get a lot of natural interactions and influence and promotion just by nature of it being fun.
Yeah. Kris, can you talk a little bit about the marketing and PR strategies of Yeowww and kind of like what has worked for Yeowww and what hasn't?
Sometimes it's hard to get the metrics on what hasn't worked, but we've always just focused on fun. Like we haven't really deviated from that side of things. So Kevin's has always focused on like the bright colors and a little bit noisier marketing materials than maybe is trendy right now. So it's just more playful, kind of cartoon-like, just trying to tell a story with everything we do. So, and it's not always focused on selling, but more on just getting attention and making people laugh, I guess, is kind of his motivation with a lot of the ads. And the same with the toys. Like we really try to keep things bright and playful and a little bit silly and quirky. So we don't do bread because like, how do you make bread quirky? We could talk about that though, because I mean, people request breads. If you guys have any ideas to make bread funny and quirky. But, you know, it's hard to make bread a bright color and still make it look like bread. You know what I mean? So I'm looking for things that are naturally bright colored. So like flowers and the banana came about because the cigar was the first toy. And you know how your cats like bite it and then it activates their salivatory glands and it gets all slobbery and wet. And then those cigars are laying on the floor in the night. And somebody stepped on their wet, soggy cigar and was not sure it was a cigar and thought it might be poop. And so they had asked early on, like, hey, can we get a toy that's bright colored? And so that was like the banana was born out of that. And then after that, it's just always been a focus on let's keep it bright and fun and playful.
I have a question. Since you are a pet product manufacturer, it seems like most of your focus is more on it's more business to business versus business to consumer. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, so we've always supported the smaller independent retailers. So that's been the main focus behind the brand, and they've always wanted to sell B2B. I'm not sure. I don't know if Norm has more history on that, but that's just been the company's decision from the start.
Yeah, we tend to support our brick and mortar stores because they're the ones that, grew us into the company we are today. And we do not sell to big box stores, like the Walmarts, the Sam's Clubs, Targets, things like that. So very supportive of the brick and mortars.
Do you think there's more prestige being in a small brick and mortar store as opposed to the Amazons of the world and Chewy's and all of those companies?
I don't know about that, but yeah, we are in Chewy and we are on Amazon.
But you're not selling. It's another retailer, correct?
Yeah.
Got it.
Norm, because you're the international sales manager, what about abroad? Do you try also to sell in brick and mortar stores abroad, or are you aiming for bigger stores there? Because I think, how big are you internationally?
Well, we do a pretty good business across the pond. We're all over the UK, we're all over Europe, we're all over, Germany, and trying to get into France now because we do have a few locations in France, like about 25 or so different stores in France right now. But your guy was saying there was a lot more. We let our distributors decide what they want to do. We try to have them not do too much online business like the Amazons and things like that. And we watch their territories very closely. So they aren't buying, somewhere in the UK and then all of a sudden they're selling it in China on China's Amazon, that type of thing. So we try to keep everybody's territories separate and there's not a lot of.
Quick question to people who don't understand the distribution process. Can you talk a little bit about that? How does that work? So you hire a distributor and they do the selling for you. Do they also do their PR and marketing for Yeowww then?
Well, we don't hire a distributor. We sell to them and then they resell it to their wholesalers or their brick and mortar stores or whatever. And we do participate a little bit in some of their marketing, but not a whole lot. that's kind of one of the reasons why they took some of the U.S. stuff away from me and said, concentrate on international so we can get into some of those promotions and, make Kris work harder doing marketing.
Make her work harder.
Yeah. She's such a slacker,
Watching cat videos.
I have a question. So I know you guys focus more on B2B. That's what we're saying. But I also know it's very important for you to still go to American shows and some, international shows where you actually see your customers. So, I mean, I met you guys last year at CatCon. So I just like to know a bit about why are you guys attending CatCon? Is it like, what is the goal behind it? Is it brand awareness? Is it just to show how fun you are with all like your little funny shirts with all the palm trees and everything on it?
Yeah, so the main goal was to get in front of consumers and hear what they had to say and also raise that brand awareness. The really interesting part, like our first CatCon, it's probably a good mix of people who are already really familiar and just excited to see us there and people who are like, what is that? They can smell the booth outside of the booth. So they're already, and they can see us because we're bright yellow. And so they'll come in and there'll be somebody in there already raving about how it's their cat's favorite toy. They'll go, oh, so sometimes the customers do a better job of selling than we do because they're sitting there telling them that their cats are going crazy for these toys. And so it's very entertaining for us to participate in those shows because you see, it's fun to introduce it to people who haven't tried it and then they'll come back and tell you, oh my God, I brought it home last night and my cats had the best time. And then, hearing from all these people who have been buying Yeowww for years and years. So it's a great way to get in front of folks.
No, that's amazing. So I know you guys do CatCon. You also do meow, which is for customers.
Yeah, we're going to do that one this time for the first time.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
And I think, do you do any in Canada? Because I know you're quite big in Canada as well.
We've kind of had the Meow Fest on our radar as a consumer show, but I think they're taking a pause this year.
I do a lot of distributor shows up in Canada. And I don't know what you call them. They're kind of like the super zoos of Canada, the Hijack and the Connect Pets Canada shows. I do some of those as well.
You're on the road a lot.
Well,
yeah.
Like I told Dan the other day, I said, I've given up 7 weekends so far this year. So
you've also done the one in Germany a couple of weeks ago. That's where we saw each other at Interzoo. Yeah. I think it's the world's largest pet trade show, right, Mary? It's the biggest one.
Yeah. There's 32,000 visitors, something like that.
Yeah, that's huge. I thought the American shows were big, but I think this one's even bigger. Question, do you do any marketing or PR internationally? How would you do it?
We pretty much let the distributors do that. Kris is really good at keeping them in line, to not say that we are Yeowww in Italy, that type of thing. They could represent Yeowww, but some of them try to get away with, we are Yeowww here in this country, and that just doesn't fly. But Kris has a good handle on that, and she beats them up pretty good. So,
yeah, social media has, I think, probably been the biggest way we've raised awareness because that just happens naturally, and there's cats all over the world that want to get their paws on Yeowww. So,
do you find your distributors doing something very different from the way you advertise it in America? Because, I know consumers are, it's a bit different coming from different countries. So do you find it different? Do they do anything different from you?
Usually they're trying to mimic a little bit of the playfulness and brightness. Yeah, I haven't taken a deep dive to see how they're representing cat toys and things. It seems like cat toys are a little bit underrepresented, though, in other parts of the world.
Oh, definitely. I was telling Mary the other day, I was just trying to find, those strings on a little stick, just a cat toy, a normal cat toy. I couldn't find any in my town in France. So I had to order it on Amazon because I couldn't find any in all the small stores, which is like such a simple toy. And they didn't have it.
And do you think there's less cat parents in France, or why do you think there is less?
So we've seen that America is huge in the pet market. You guys are like 10 years ahead of us on that size of things. In Europe, we're so behind. People are still not really willing to spend that amount of money on their pets, and they still I mean, my generation, so Gen Z, is more about considering their pet as like part of the family, but the generation before was less about that. So it was more you had a cat, but the cat was just going in and outside. Like sometimes it would come in for dinner, but sometimes not. So it was not as big as what we're making it now, where like, my cat is my whole life. My cat is my family. So I hope it's going to change. And I hope the pet market is going to get better in Europe, or at least in France for me.
We're going to take a quick break because we got to pay for the show, as another Pet Life Radio host says. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, it's Mary again, and now I want to talk about my favorite cat enrichment toy. We are talking Yeowww Catnip. It is catnip organically grown right here in the USA and made in Minnesota. They come fully stuffed with that same organically grown catnip that cats just love. There's no fillers or stuffing used in them. It's just catnip and only catnip. And when it comes to cats, you have to keep safety in mind. And so there's no buttons, beads, or pieces that can come off and be accidentally ingested. In fact, I have some pretty strong chewers and it holds up. And it's because the fabric is made of a durable cotton twill. In fact, my favorite toy is the banana. And there's one that's actually a peeled banana, and then there's one that's just a regular banana. And what makes it so great is they can bunny kick it, and they can do all sorts of things to it. I've seen bananas flying across the floor because my cats are so high on catnip, and they love it. It just provides me so much joy to watch them have so much fun. And, we often hear from people that their cats never responded to catnip until they got Yeowww. Yeowww's catnip is, hands down, one of the best on the market. It's very powerful, and it's so safe for your animals. Also, so you may be wondering, where do you get it? Well, all of their toys are sold across the globe in independent pet stores, boutiques, clinics, and gift shops. They want you to support small stores and different things, so they really work hard to supporting independent pet retailers. It's really amazing. So I encourage you to go out and get yourself some Yeowww for your cat, and your cat will be thanking you.
Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
All right, we are back, and let's go back to Kris. Kris, we interrupted you before. We were talking about the international efforts and the humanization of pets, and how Europe is actually Europe and Asia are behind the U.S. when it comes to pet sales.
Yeah, I was just kind of wondering if you think that's a trend that's changing really rapidly then, that cats are being brought in as family members.
Yeah, and how it's changing? Well, it's thanks to you guys, thanks to America, but also because of social media. So we see Americans, like Instagram account like yours, we see how you treat your cat, what kind of toys you give them, and that's how we want them in Europe. And that's how, for example, you are exporting now to Europe, because we're seeing those toys and we're like, wow, they seem incredible, but we can't find them here. So I feel like there's more demand for these toys thanks to mostly social media, because of TikTok and Instagram. As European, we can now see what you guys have access to. And we're like, well, why don't we have access to that?
Right. Yeah. That's where I think a lot of it comes from too, is people see it on social media and they want to try. Yeah.
So we really want to focus on some tips too. So Kris, can you talk a little bit? Tippy Tuxies is an Instagram account that is rescue based, and especially for our animal welfare listeners out there, can you give us some tips and tricks on social media content?
Oh, so for me, I guess I just always kept it very natural, organic, and like our daily lives. But then, a few years ago, following some of the trends really did help boost what was happening on social media. So if you'd see like a certain trendy style of video, maybe you would, even if it was like a people dancing, like you can kind of turn that into something funny with your cats. So that a couple of years ago, that was really a way that you could grow your audience. But things change like day to day. So for me, I think just keeping it authentic to who we were was our main tactic, but then maybe would mix in some of the playful, funny, trendy stuff. But I wouldn't say we're like the tippy tuxies are all about just following the trendy sounds and things. So a little bit of mixing in, and then I always pay attention to what's doing well too. So people tend to react to certain type of content. So you see a lot of people who are really popular. If you look at their feed, they're like posting almost the same exact type of video. So they really watch what people are interacting with particular to them. So like for myself, Daisy walking is one, and she walks very slow and purposeful, because if she tries to hurry, she falls over. It's just part of being a CH cat, and some are more affected than others. And for Daisy, she really has to slow down and think. And that video style always performs because people either are encouraging her or don't understand and are asking questions. So I guess that's always the best tactic, is kind of like your own account isn't going to perform exactly like somebody else's. So paying attention to what's performing well on yours and doing more of that, and then mixing in other stuff to constantly test to see what people want to see.
When you started that Instagram account, Tippy Tuxies, did you ever think it would get that big? I mean, how many followers do you have now? Like maybe 80,000, if I'm right?
Yeah, Tippy Tuxies is like 67, but then I have the other account, Camp Wobbly Cat, that's in the 80s. Yeah. Neither one did I think so the Tippy Tuxie, that was just, I didn't want to post cat pictures on my own profile all the time and annoy people who were maybe not interested in that. So I created an account just for friends and people who were interested to keep tabs on them. So I don't think initially it was something I planned to grow that much. It was just for fun, and then things did grow, and you could see the impact. My first cat con, I was talking to somebody and they had all these tuxedo cats. And so I was asking questions like, oh my gosh, I had 3 tuxedo cats too. She's like, and I showed her my cats and she goes, I follow you. You're the reason I adopted my first wobbly cat. So, and I've heard that from other people. So that's been a big motivator, I think, to keep going with it. And something that I think all of us who do promote our special needs animals are really proud of, that it does make a difference, that less of them are being automatically put to sleep and are now considered they're a little different, but they are happy cats and just want to live like cats do. Sit in the sun, play with toys, take long naps.
That's amazing. We're getting to the end of the show, but wanted to ask you about working with brands. You're kind of opinionated about staying true to who you and your cats are. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I guess for me, I don't want to talk about anything that we wouldn't naturally use. We do sometimes try products that we haven't used, but I tell brands that I can't talk about them on my page until I have tried them. So I generally won't make a brand agreement with somebody if I'm not familiar with their product, or if they're not willing to let us try it before we make that agreement. So that's just something I guess I've been particular about, because it does matter, right? I don't want to tout something that my cats really don't like and tell people it's amazing if it's not, and then have them be disappointed. And every cat has different tastes. So there's a space out there for any brand, I think, and even from the other side, when I'm working with Yeowww, if I see somebody who's already talking about us, they're going to move to the top of the list of who we would partner with, because I know it's going to be authentic.
I think that's one of the main take with influencer marketing at the minute, is to work with authentic influencers, because the audience can also tell if you're really true about the product or if you're just being paid to talk about it.
So much to talk about. We could talk for hours. We want to thank Norm and Kris for coming on the show. And you know what? That's a wrap for this show. We, of course, are so excited to be doing this, and it's all about making life better for animals. And if you have a question for Alex and I or Mark, or want to get a hold of any of these wonderful brands we talked to, send us a message on Facebook or Instagram under the Whisker Report, and we will do our very best to answer your questions, because we as a company, Whisker Media, who is behind the Whisker Report, we want to help you. We want to help you support animals. So thank you so much for joining us. And as we say,
bark loud and purr smart.
See everybody.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.